On Saturday night at Red Bull Arena, the New York Red Bulls' struggles in the 2023 season continued with a 1-0 loss to their rivals from Philadelphia, the Union, taking all 3 points at Red Bull Arena. They're continuing to dominate the Red Bulls in MLS play. They continue to be unbeaten versus their rivals from Harrison, New Jersey, over the last 10 matches going back to September 2019. I'm James Burley for WFOV Sports, and we have seen what has become a colossal start to the New York Red Bulls season, an absolute disaster in New York, as they have just one win in 11 matches, totaling just 9 points of 11 games, good enough for 15th out of 15th in the Eastern Conference. And we looked into this season with a lot of hope for the New York Red Bulls as they brought in DP striker Dante Van Zier, who continues to serve his suspension for his racist remarks against San Jose weeks ago. And they brought in a strength into the midfield that they continued to harvest around guys like Christian Cáceres and Daniel Edelman and Frankie Amaya, Lewis Morgan coming off of a career year, Luquinhas looking to break the duck of what was a bad second half of the season. But injuries, inconsistent play, and off-field scandals have kept the Red Bulls from reaching success thus far in the 2023 season. And Saturday was no different. This one, they started off really strong, as they have at Red Bull Arena in times, but when they don't get that goal by the 20-minute mark, you really start to feel that this game is starting to become out of reach. It's going to be one of those 0-0 draws, those quick, tight defeats that the Red Bulls have had a lot of this year, and going back to last year, especially at Red Bull Arena. And this one followed that trend. Early on, it's Omir Fernandez who creates a great chance, combining on the left-hand side, just 8 minutes into the game. A few minutes after that, JMI Tolkien gets a weak-footed shot off that forces Andre Blake into an excellent save. But after that, there was no contest. One of the ugliest soccer matches, boring soccer matches I have seen all year. The Red Bulls had 63% passing accuracy, and the Union somehow had worse at 57%. Just an ugly display of soccer at Red Bull Arena. And the difference comes from a controversial penalty call in the 31st minute. Whistled at the 26th minute was Dylan Nealis for pulling down Julian Carranza. There was minimal contact on the play, and it did seem like a dive, but Nealis put himself in a position where he had to chase and reach back for a player in the penalty area. A lot of times that will be given, and after 4.5 minutes of deliberation from Joe Dickerson and the VAR, Jair Marufo, the penalty was ultimately given, and Daniel Gazdag is automatic from the penalty spot since joining the Philadelphia Union. The DP Hungarian international made that 15 for 15 from spot kicks since joining Philadelphia. He's been a revelation, an MVP candidate last year. He continues to be a game changer for them in what has been a struggle of a year too for Philadelphia. They bowed out earlier in the Champions League this week to LAFC, losing 3-0 in California. And now coming back into, with focus on MLS play, a good result for Philly in what should be considered a bad performance. You know, usually teams talk about coming to Red Bull Arena and having to claw games away. It's not an orthodox style of play that you have to approach with. But Jim Curtin's side does not deserve a whole lot of credit for the way they came in. They did what you expect them to do. They clogged central midfield, and they let the area go out wide to the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls did not exploit those areas. But I wouldn't say that Jim Curtin outcoached Gerhard Struber, which I found myself saying before. In this case, it just felt like a game that was taken away from everyone involved, and just not a great display from either side. You hate to see a referee's decision be the difference maker, but it feels like that's what it was today. But with that said, the New York Red Bulls fans and their team are certainly not happy with the way that they've been playing. They know they need to be better. They know they need to score more goals, more creativity, more punch in the attacking third, and that hasn't happened. For the first time in years, we saw the not good enough flag come out in the South Ward, as the South Ward returned each supporters group from the Torcida 96, ESC, and the Viking Army all agreeing to come back into the section, although it did seem a bit bare on Saturday night. With that said, they were still driving chance all night long, but still very disappointed. And of note, coming out after the match, noting that only Omir Fernandez and one other player came to say their condolences to the fans after the match, not getting a lot of great attention from the fans. And some players, even after the match, talked about the refereeing decision. Coach Gerhard Struber mentioned it, and just not great vibes in New York. But looking forward, a big week coming up with DC United in the Open Cup on Tuesday night and NYCFC at home in MLS play on Saturday. Your two biggest rivals in 1 week. You've got to turn the page now. Here's a chance to listen to what Gerhard Struber had to say after the match.
Yeah, we cannot say that we make everything right. In the end, I told you that the table never lie, and the reality is we are on the last place in the table, and we make not everything right. Especially the results at the moment are very, very bad, and also in the games when we see also today how we handled. And against Philly, we know that this is a team on a very high level. You get not so many chances, but when you come in moments like that, you must be more in balance. Yeah, you must be more ready for situations like that. And today we do it right, and in the end we was inofficial. This is the problem, and we cannot say right now the performance is always good. Of course, the boys invest. The boys was ambition to bounce back also in this game, but you need in the moments when you get the chance against a team like that, you have to use that. And I think this is, of course, we can see we have a big potential in this direction. This is not a coincidence. This is our situation. And of course, we keep fighting and we keep going. This is clear. This is crystal clear. But a lose like that is hard at the moment. That you can be on a good level. I think the frustration, the disappointment is brutal.
So while things look bleak now in New York, 15th out of 15th in the East, 9 points in 11 games, 1 win in 11, winless in your last 7. Both Captain Sean Nealis and Coach Gerhard Struber echoed the points of a couple wins and we're back in MLS playoff contention. And that's just the way that Major League Soccer works. When at least 9 teams in each conference get at least a play-in into the playoffs, you get a lot of breathing room at the beginning of the season. So there is hope yet for the Metro. With that said, this week could potentially give them the fuel to get things back on track. You play your 2 biggest rivals, you get results in those teams, you boost morale, you get the fans back in your corner, and you start playing better football. That hasn't been the case this year, and this week presents that opportunity for them with DC in the Open Cup Tuesday night at MSU Soccer Park on the campus of Montclair State University. They had a great game there last year against Charlotte. They won 3-1 in the Open Cup, and they got a great crowd behind them there. They're hoping for that this Tuesday before Saturday, where they host New York City FC at Red Bull Arena. And New York City FC on the up. They just lost this past weekend as well, but have been trending in the right direction over the last few weeks. And this makes the Red Bulls' job that much harder. But if they can get through this week and get some results in their back pocket and can continue in the Open Cup, then it will be a step in the right direction. Otherwise, they're going to continue falling behind as they have to this point this year. And it's been a tough start. Many fans still calling for Gerhard Struber to be let go at the helm, and that idea seems to be getting more and more popular with each week. Well, that'll do it for this week's wrap-up of the New York Red Bulls match. 1-0, the Philadelphia Union take all 3 points at Red Bull Arena. Winless in their last 10 against the Union are the New York Red Bulls. For WFUV Sports, I'm James Burley. I will see you guys next time.